Welcome back to Market Call. Let's head to Burlington, Ontario. Anne, go ahead, please.
Afternoon, gentlemen.
Hi there.
I own Square, and it's done very nicely, and I'm happy with the profit. Do I take the profit and sell it? Do I continue to hold it? And if I do continue to hold it, at what point do I put a stop loss on? Thank you very much for your opinion, David. Bye.
That's a great question. So, and one of the big clear themes in this market has been fintech and companies around payments, because we know that, you know, I like to find industries where it really doesn't matter so much about where we are in the business cycle. There's some long-term theme that's driving adoption. And we know that digital payments are growing very, very rapidly and are going to continue to do so in the meantime. Square is playing very effectively in the mid-sized and small-sized companies, providing the ability to transact, doing analytics, managing receipts, all that kind of thing. So the stock's actually recently pulled back from 49. It's had a pretty good sized pullback, pulled back into the 50-day moving average. It's pulled back into the 50-day moving average probably 10 times in the last 2 years. And each time has been an opportunity probably to buy a little more. You have very strong sales revenue growth. It's in a sector that I think is very attractive. In the very near term, there has been some money rotating a little bit from technology to some other sectors. You know, people get to do a little repositioning coming up into the new year. But I think that technology and certainly fintech is a sector that's going to perform well again next year. So I would buy the stock here.
Let's head to Hamilton, Ontario. Dorothy, go ahead, please.
Hello. My question today is I've heard some comments regarding money moving out of the FANG stocks and into financials. And I do hold PNQI and FDN as well as IYF. And I'm just wondering if I should lighten up on the FANG or the ETF stocks and maybe put more into the U.S. financials. I also own a couple of Canadian banks, Royal and TD, as well as the Canadian ETF. If you could comment on this, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you.
The FANGs versus the financials.
Right. So to Dorothy, congratulations. You have been invested in two excellent themes. And, you know, I'm in the same position as you. I run a macro fund that invests in big themes just using ETFs. And I own PNQI, which is internet related companies, and FDN, which is internet related retail. They've performed really, really well. And there is a question right now as to whether we're seeing some money rotate from tech, which has been strong leadership for the last 2 years, into some financials, which are the beneficiary of rising rates. I do believe we are in a reflationary cycle, which benefits banks. I do think that the banks have a long path in front of them as far as revaluation goes. So I really believe you want to own both. I think it's a great pairing to own the growth attached to the FANGs and at the same time have a significant position in the financials that benefit from deregulation, from tax reform, from a stronger U.S. economy. So there definitely is some money rotating in the very near term. But remember, there are lots of people who feel like they have to make changes in their portfolios, you know, as you come into year end. And realistically, probably the themes that lead at year end this year will probably lead again next year because we have very clear leadership in this market. I don't think you have to be too fancy. I own both themes.
Both themes. Okay. Jerry in Vancouver, go ahead, please.
David, can you give me your view of Canadian Natural Resources versus Suncor? Which one of the two would you buy? It has a longer outlook for gains. And Andy, could you give us a street consensus, please?
Okay, I'll do it for one of them. Sure, no problem. CNQ versus Suncor.
Okay, so 80% of returns get to the right neighborhood, right? Get to find, if you look at real estate, find the right neighborhood where things are appreciating. Suncor and CNQ to me are almost interchangeable. They are the two quality companies in the Canadian oil patch. They are the two companies that have been able to purchase assets at good prices while other companies were down. We own them both. And I have to tell you, it's a coin toss as to which one would do better over the next couple of years. I think they're both very attractive assets, and I would be a buyer of both. So I don't mean to disappoint you, but I think you're going to do well with both. We have a slightly below weight energy exposure to the S&P 500, which is a pretty low energy weight because I don't think it's the most important theme in the market. But I want to buy the winning companies and sectors that have become unloved, and that's a good way of looking at the energy patch. So both Suncor and CNQ, I think, are both attractive.
And let's just look at the consensus. The analysts love Canadian Natural. 17 buys, only 2 holds. And 5 strong buys. Okay, a lot of a cheery consensus there behind Canadian Natural. Okay, stay tuned. We're coming up to Past Picks on Market Call.